The Elder Scrolls universe has known many releases. We've seen the vibrant, painted world of Oblivion, and the harsh and cold landscape of Skyrim, the mushroom forests of Morrowind, to the harsh and cold landscape of Skyrim, and the less vibrant, painted world of Oblivion, and of course, the harsh and cold landscape of Skyrim. Fans of the Elder Scrolls know, though, that there is much more than this to discover. We have card games, and castle games, and even other abandoned phone games. Today, though, I'll be taking a look not at one of these excellent pocket titles. Rather, I'll focus on the game which started it all, The Elder Scrolls Arena. Despite the series' broader popularity, Arena is quite the mystery to most, even for steadfast fans. For most people, all it takes is one look at Arena's gameplay to know that they will probably never actually play it. Many would much rather watch a subpar video on YouTube about it and live vicariously through someone else who is willing to suffer through the combat and audio design. Right? I thought so. Arena is, for a good reason, heavily overshadowed by its successor, Daggerfall. This is probably because while Daggerfall originally looked like this, it can now look like this, due to Daggerfall's Unity and additional mods. After all these years, Arena can now be updated to look like this. Yep. No mods or anything, this is the best you get. But as long as you roleplay a crackhead, the graphics aren't too immersion breaking, since I'm pretty sure that this is what the world looks like to most of them. I must say though, contrary to what you may believe by watching or reading basically any review online, Arena isn't terrible. I wouldn't even call it bad. In fact, I personally will go as far as to say that I actually really enjoy playing Arena. Now, I'd like to give you some context. Not too long ago, I finally got around to playing Daggerfall. And if you watched my video on it, then you probably know that only after some modding, I came to really enjoy it. A few weeks later, I was staring into the eyes of Lego Qui-Gon Jinn, seeking wisdom, as I often do, and I was prompted to go ahead and just try Arena. I was, of course, expecting a buggy mess with gameplay that no real person would actually enjoy. Now imagine my surprise when I actually began having fun. I'll mention here that it did take a bit of tech preparation, but seeing as very few of you will actually end up trying this game, I'll leave my advice for the end of the video. Stick around though if you'd like to know how to get this game running smooth with updated controls. For now though, let's dive into Arena's gameplay. The gameplay of Arena is very simple and can be summed up into a core loop that the player won't ever really stray away from. This being, explore Labyrinthine Dungeon, return to town to complete quests and sell loot, upgrade gear and spells, then head to the next dungeon. Oh hey, this is me by the way, Sir Schmib. The only discernible deviation from this loop is leveling up, which can be done any time throughout the loop. To understand Arena, we'll dissect each part of this, starting with exploration. In Arena, exploration is best described as samey and chill. I know, not the highest praise, but it still works. The numerous locations you'll explore will have very few noticeable differences, and you'll be using your map a lot to get around, which does get old. There are a few spells and utilities to make this easier and more interesting though, more on that soon, but overall there's not much to say here. It's really just moving around different mazes. The positive aspects of exploration lie in its immersive elements and features, things like riddles, puzzles, and so on. But immersion deserves its own segment, so we'll take a deeper look at that after we finish up with the gameplay loop. What really defines Arena's exploration is its combat. As you'd expect from an Elder Scrolls game, you'll spend a lot of time bonking other dudes on the head with various weapons. The level of your enjoyment with this will most likely depend on the class you chose at the start of the game, as the game's classes all have certain restrictions. Warriors can't cast any magic, mages can't wear much armor, and so on. The classes are terribly unbalanced, but this was done on purpose as there is no difficulty option in Arena. The class you chose is designed to play a major role in how challenging your experience will be. Thus, some classes are purposefully terrible, while others are quite OP. You may not be surprised to hear, however, that the combat is simple. You swing your weapon around by sliding your mouse like one of those esports guys, and eventually your enemy will die. Or you will die, and Jagar Tharn will greet you warmly.
You were a fool to confront me!
Magic, though, as is normally the case, is the saving grace here, as it can transform the weapon sliding tedium into slightly more complex casting. Being able to create and test your own spells is a great way to break up the monotony of combat. But overall, in Arena, combat is just a means to an end. Monsters in your way, get it out of the way, is about as deep as it gets. After exploring, you'll be covered in blood and saying, I can't fit any more into my pack. So let's get you to the nearest town to rest up and sell that loot. On our way to town though, we stumble upon a like button. You should click that, if you're enjoying the video. Thank you. Returning to towns and quest givers is the most boring aspect of Arena. The towns all look the same, and you can only sell items one at a time, so you'll be looking at this screen for a few good minutes. You can explore outside of city walls to get some dungeon delving in, or, of course, take on side quests. Both exploring and questing can be good for gold and experience in the early game. But as the game progresses, you'll likely spend most of your time in the main quest-related dungeons, as they have experience and loot aplenty. After spending a bit of time selling loot, you'll turn in your quests and be ready for the next dungeon. But hold up there, you nearly missed the fun part. The final part of the gameplay loop is upgrading gear, which is satisfying in basically every game. But something about the magic system in Arena makes this part of the game feel uniquely rewarding. Spells and magical items are quite expensive in Arena, so every new spell feels great to get your hands on. You'll save up for simple spells that deal more damage, cure paralysis and disease spells, which you'll be dying to get your hands on, or even spells that make you levitate or lava resistant. You'll also eventually become a human bulldozer with spells like Pass Wall, which allows you to destroy the dungeon around you to get to your destination faster. From my experience, you won't be able to get all of these at once, so I spent a decent amount of time reading through the spell list in the manual and figuring out which spells I wanted and how I should prioritize buying them. Looking forward to unlocking these new mechanics was a huge motivational factor as I progressed through the story. You'll encounter many problems and know that if only you had more money at the last town, you'd already have a perfect solution with magic. When it comes to the core gameplay loop overall, that's about it. It's not much, I know, and I can already hear you saying, but Sir Schmib, you said you had fun playing Arena, and everything you explained sounded boring as heck, so that doesn't make much sense. Which is true. I know, I'm about to make it make sense. I alluded to it earlier, but the real reason I enjoyed Arena was quite the surprise to me. Contrary to my wildest expectations, I actually found Arena very immersive. It is very clear that the devs try to immerse the player in the most realistic world that they were able to craft in 1994. And since the graphics were lacking, they were forced to be creative in discovering how to do so. Let me give you an example of how they succeeded. During the main quest, I eventually found myself in Valenwood, tracking down a gem that held the soul of a spider queen. Within the dungeon, while searching for evidence of where I should go, some text appeared on my screen informing me that there were lots of scrapes and markings on the walls and floor, which was strange for such a small passageway. In that moment, I imagined a scene similarly to the way one does when reading a novel. I saw my character stooped low, examining the scratched surfaces, sword in hand, and determining that something was probably deeper down that passage. This is a very simple example of something that occurs to lesser and larger degrees throughout all of Arena. And It was experiences like this that made Arena such a uniquely enjoyable game for me. Imagine the same situation, but in Skyrim, for example, where the same message wasn't directly relayed to the player, but the scrapes were actually present in the graphics. I don't know about you, but I probably would have run straight past the markings without ever noticing them. Let's be honest here, there probably are plenty of places like this in Skyrim that I've never noticed before. This novel-like telling of the story that often appears in main quest dungeons makes room for plenty of creativity for the devs. It allows the game itself to behave more like how I'd imagine a dungeon master treats the players of a tabletop RPG game. Arena was not what I expected. I was prepared for creating a character with a backstory like any Elder Scrolls game, but what I actually got was less of a focus on role-playing from a character perspective, and much more focus on the unique gameplay, exploration, and class-building aspects of early RPGs. I must admit, I didn't enjoy Arena the way that I do most games. I wasn't getting off of work and looking forward to playing Arena. I was actually playing another game at the time that took up that spot for me. What I did instead was hop on Arena for an hour or two, here and there, with a warm drink like coffee or tea, and do a dungeon or so. It was very calming to be played this way, an experience which took my attention and directed it in a unique and fulfilling way. I often logged off feeling productive, almost revitalized, I noticed. I would be in the mood to work on house chores or write and edit videos. What was most enjoyable about Arena wasn't its gameplay. While that was at least interesting to see how far games have come, what I loved about Arena was simply figuring it out, quieting my brain down to sit and focused on one complex but simple to master thing. I enjoyed learning which class to play by reading manuals, discovering new spells and creatively using them to make my job easier, trying new weapons, determining how to explore productively while writing notes on the map in-game, solving riddles and discovering solutions to unique challenges and enemy types. Arena was thought-provoking in a way that I haven't experienced from games very often. I won't sit here and hail Arena as one of the greatest classics that you must try, but I do think that many of its features and ideas are well thought through and designed, and could add depth even to modern games. When you launch Arena, there is a sense of respect for the player which the devs programmed in. A respect for your intelligence, similar to the way FromSoft develops games with respect for players' skill. The game is hard, and it communicates very little to you, but reading through the manuals, you'll realize that it's hard only because the devs believe you are capable of figuring it out. And when you do, it feels great. Now, if you're looking to dive into Arena, I recommend the GOG.com version. It installs for free like all versions, but comes with a manual that the Steam version does not have, I think. The Codex Scientia. You'll also want to install this key remapping mod, which will allow you to walk and look around with WASD. With that, you're good to go. That's it. Go ahead and brew up some coffee, sit back, read through the manuals, take some advice from old videos or online forums, and don't be afraid to restart if your class just isn't working for you. I hope you have all enjoyed this review of sorts. I had a great time making this one. Hopefully, I've inspired you to give Arena a try. Let me know down in the comments below whether or not you plan on playing Arena and why. For now, I've been Sir Schmib. I hope you all have a beautiful day. Until next time.